Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkie and Drury, brought to you, as always, by our friends at CoolBet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, and, of course, in part by Listowel Vision Care and See the Game. I'm Drury. That's Clarkie. And Clarkie, you know, you're being a good soldier here. You're grinding through an illness. You're not going to be on for the full show, as we have our friend Steve McAllister coming on later from the Parleh. And look at that. There it is. The Bad News Bears right there, buddy. How you feeling, man?
I've been better.
Yeah.
I don't have a sore throat or anything that a lot of people have. I don't really have a cough. I have a little bit of a cough. It's just basically I have a fever, the aches and pains. My back is killing me, and just lethargic. Just don't want to do anything. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to get up and do something. I'm going to do something because I'm off work all week. I can't go to work.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a drag, but I feel a little bit better tonight, which maybe is a sign I'm turning a corner. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you would hope so, right? I mean, you're fully vaxxed, you're triple vaxxed like me. I mean, hey, surprise, surprise, everybody. The vaccines actually work. What a shock to some of you, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to turn this political or whatever. Your health shouldn't be political.
And I think masks work too, because it's gone crazy since we took masks off. Hasn't it?
It really has.
And thankfully, I was just going to say, thankfully, this latest variant is not that serious, right? And that's I don't know. Sometimes I think that was the strategy, just get everyone get a herd immunity going now. So
I wonder, right? I mean, it look, I'm not a virologist. I'm not an expert. And I'm not going to go on Google and pretend like I'm going to read 2 articles and understand how viruses work, because that's not what smart
a lot of people
do. I know that is what people do. And they read something that confirms their bias towards something. We see it in sports too, right? We'll dig into a few things on that note, but I'm not going to do that. All I know is that health experts have said this variant is more transmissible, but the effects of it, especially if you're vaccinated, are far less worse than original COVID, the second variant that came. So, I mean, you know, I'm glad to see that you're feeling at least up to jumping on here with me and talking sports, man.
I don't think I can do an hour, so I'm going to leave you with Steve McAllister later on, but let's just talk a little bit here off the top.
Yeah, let's do it. And I mean, there's lots to talk about. Where do you want to start? I mean, your Maple Leafs had another dismal performance the other night against the Sabres. I don't understand what our buddy Steve Dangle was. I don't know if you saw his LFR reaction video after it was. He just titled it "Barf." I
don't understand it. I mean, I guess you can't give it all 82 games. There's always down games, but why do they always come up empty against the Buffalo Sabres? It's embarrassing, and they were embarrassed last night again. I mean, the outdoor game was one thing, and then last night it was like some guys didn't show up. There's no question about that last night.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, lots of eyes on Owen Power, the number 1 draft pick from last year's draft. It was his first NHL game, looked pretty good. After obviously disappointing end to his season at Michigan, getting put out of the Frozen Four. By the way, the Denver Pioneers, they won the NCAA national title again, their 9th title. So pretty impressive stuff for Denver, obviously. So good for them. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't understand why the Leafs can't seem to handle Craig Anderson and the Buffalo Sabres.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. And Matthews has good success against Craig Anderson. Of course, that's who he faced in his very first NHL game and got 4 by him. But do you think the Leafs will sign Matthew Nyes in the next couple of days? Where do you think that's going to end up?
It's hard to say, right? Because Matthew Nye obviously at Michigan as well, I believe. And I mean, with Owen Power leaving and a couple other guys likely leaving that program, right? They all came back together to try and win a national title. With some guys leaving, is he going to want to go back? I don't know if he wants to finish out another year at school. It's hard to say. I mean, there are worse places to go. I'll say this. I have a lot more faith that he'll sign with the Maple Leafs because it's the Maple Leafs. I mean, if he was owned by the Arizona Coyotes, I doubt very much that he would want to be rushing down there to get golf carted to practice. So, yeah, I think the Leafs probably have a good opportunity to sign him. And he's a good little player, man. I mean, he could make a
He's a big
difference on your
player.
third or fourth line.
He's a big player. He's 6'3", 215 or whatever he is. Like,
Yeah,
he's a big guy and he can fly.
Yeah,
From what
he's a
I've
really,
heard.
really good skater.
From what I've heard, he can absolutely fly, and it sounds like they might slot him in with Nylander and Tavares on the second line. So if you promise a kid that, that's pretty good incentive.
And I mean, promises only go so far. When it comes to pro hockey, right? Yeah. But hey, I mean, he certainly looks like he has the ability to make a difference. And I mean, the size, the speed, he skates really well. Not afraid to go to the net. So that could be something that really helps that second line. Yeah. Once again, seem to be in like just a bit of the doldrums, if you will, like not clicking. John Tavares is, I don't know. I don't think he's really played well in a month, I would say. And Nylander's been very up and down in terms of effort level and production.
Willie's just waiting for the playoffs. He's just waiting.
I guess so. It's a dangerous game to play, but I mean, what's your opinion on that second line, though? It's a hot topic because, like, Matthews and Marner, it was the first time, I believe, since February 5th or 6th. I can't remember the exact date where they both didn't have a point in a game. So you can't really fault them. You know, you're not going to be great every game, but that second line, like, you paid all these guys tens of millions of dollars, including 11 to John Tavares, to step up when those guys maybe don't have it on extremely rare occasion. And he didn't again. Like, and I'm not pinning this all on John Tavares. You know what I thought of that contract when it was signed. And again, it's easy to, I don't know, jump on a guy, which I don't feel like I'm doing when he's not playing well. When he's playing well, no one talks about 11 million, but I, from an outside perspective, I'm always looking at it and going 11 million. I don't know. So I don't know what your opinion is of him lately, but I mean,
well, he hasn't,
like, the effort's there.
I think he's lost a step. I think he hasn't. I don't think he's recovered since the head injury in the playoffs. He hasn't been the same, and that can be a lingering effect for a long time. What ticks me off is people saying, you know, they shouldn't have signed him. They should have kept Kadri. Listen, Kadri blew it. Kadri cost himself a position on this team, and they had to make a move there. He's just stupid, and maybe he's going to fix himself now and maybe not get suspended again in the playoffs. But it was just, you can't rely on him. He's a head case. He flies off the handle, and maybe he'll prove himself this year that he can keep his cool in the playoffs. I'm sure the Colorado Avalanche and our producer Adam Olivero believes he can and hopes he can, but he hasn't proved it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily know that I was on the board of necessarily keeping Kadri, just that $11 million to play with. You know, every time the Leafs lose or get in a little slump or get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, which is what they do all the time until they prove otherwise, it's just a fact. One of the very first things that comes up is A, the big star players not producing, and B, how thin their defense core appears when all the dust has settled. And that $11 million could have been spread around to potentially not, you know, have
time will tell.
Yeah. Time will tell. Time will tell. But I mean, when you say something to me, like, it looks like John Tavares has lost a step to you, that's a guy losing a step potentially that didn't really have much of a step to begin with. I mean, he has overcome poor skating ability his whole career to turn into a very, very solid star player in the NHL, and particularly back in his OHL days. I mean, we are talking about a guy that broke Wayne Gretzky's overall junior goal scoring record with that poor skating. So, but that's concerning, though, when you owe him $11 million.
Sure, it is concerning. He's a force in front of the net still. He gets pounded, but he still scores a lot of his goals within 5 feet of that net. And you need a player like that because Mitch Marner doesn't do it very often. Matthews is pretty good at it. Nylander, not really. John Tavares isn't afraid to go into the ugly areas and take a pounding and score a goal. Quite simply, they need that. They really do need that. And he's the one guy who gives them that kind of play. So we'll see, though. We'll see, Ryan. They got to win. They got to win in the playoffs. We've said it many times. Yes. It doesn't matter if they get 100 points in the season or 120 points. It does not matter. They got to win in the playoffs. And they're going to face a pretty good team. Whoever they play, they're going to face a pretty good team. it looks like now maybe Tampa, Boston, or Carolina. They're the three options. So
they definitely need a guy in front of the net for sure, and they need John Tavares' skill every night. One thing that generally NHL players don't need is someone stepping up to help them pay their fines. And I don't know if you've seen this, but the Minnesota-Edmonton game the other night, we're recording this on Wednesday the 13th. On Tuesday night, Minnesota snapped Edmonton's, I believe, 5-game winning streak. They beat them 5-1. But the story out of that game was a big kerfuffle between Evander Kane and Kirill Kaprizov, the star Russian forward of the Wild. They got into a skirmish, and then Evander Kane was getting mugged by the other 5 guys. The Oilers then jumped in late and were trying to help him. Marcus Foligno was fined. I believe it was Foligno was fined just shy of $5,000, which is allegedly the max for unsportsmanlike conduct, because he flipped off the Oilers bench and Kane. And well, you watch the video and read his lips as to what he's yelling at Evander. Comes across Twitter today that Evander Kane's ex-wife Venmo'd Foligno $200 to help pay his fine. And she went public with it on social media.
Crazy.
What's your opinion of that, Clarky?
Well, I loved how the reaction after the game was saying that, did you notice that the entire Minnesota team jumped in to get Evander Kane off, but the Oilers were just basically standing around and letting them get beat up? Because for a lot of that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And it's like no one's going to come to this guy's rescue. So who knows?
You do wonder a little bit,
right?
I know, and you do wonder about that because let's be frank here. He's been really, really good production-wise for the team. Believe he's got 26 or 27 points in 34 odd games. Evander Kane has delivered what we all know and knew he could on the ice.
Yeah.
So you do, kind of wonder the optics of it. Certainly what we saw on camera definitely made it look like, people weren't exactly in a hurry to unfasten their seatbelts and jump out of the car to save him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly a Bruce Willis Die Hard moment or anything.
Yeah.
So I just wondered your opinion on that. If you saw that and had some thoughts on it. I got a brief chuckle of it.
I found it also interesting before the game. Leon Draisaitl said, I wouldn't want to play us in the playoffs.
He did say that, and I kind of agree with him. I would the way they're playing, dude. You can't, if the Oilers are hot and playing well, there are very few teams at the upper echelon of the skill level that can match them. If McDavid and Draisaitl are flying around and everybody else is just in the very least playing sound defensively, and Mike Smith isn't letting wiffle balls go by him.
Well, that's the key. That's the key.
And they've been really good down the stretch here. Give them their cake. You can maybe shave the icing off, but it's a piece of cake. They've looked good down the stretch here. Maybe even not a piece of cake. Let's give them a brownie. Let's give them a double fudge brownie, a little treat for their
Timbit.
Well, I'm okay with that as long as it's chocolate glazed or something and the sour cream garbage. What's your favorite Timbit, Clarky? I'll bring you some.
Would you? Because I could use some. I haven't eaten since Monday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, maybe you should eat a
I'm
Timbit.
Not hungry. I'm not hungry.
You're not hungry at all, eh?
Lost my appetite. And
have you lost? Are you able to taste and smell still?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people said that that can go.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite Timbit? If I was so inclined to.
Birthday cake.
Birthday cake. That is
incredible.
I'm not.
Birthday cake Timbit is the best.
Don't disagree.
By far.
I didn't peg you as birthday cake guy.
Oh yeah, I'm a birthday cake guy, 100%. What do you?
I would have thought the apple fritter or something like that, or what my favorite Timbit is, man. And this is probably this maybe is surprising to people too. I love honey dip. Honey dip Timbits are next level. Followed closely by the white powder jelly filled.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I can kill a jelly-filled donut. Of any size.
But we're not talking donuts here. We're talking Timbits.
No, I know. But if you were to balloon that Timbit into a full-size donut, I'd eat that.
Well, they do have them. They do have the full-size.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it in my face, but I'm aware that they have those. Okay. I know what they've got on the shelves over there. I want to ask you as well. Something happened today that just sent my blood to a new temperature.
And can you imagine? I was sick all day today and watching TV, and I didn't know there was an afternoon ball game. But I would have been really ticked if I had been watching this game. Now go ahead.
Well, I was. And if you don't know what we're talking about, the Dodgers and Twins were playing today. Again, this is Wednesday, April 13th. We're recording this. I'm sure you'll see highlights. Through 7 innings, Clayton Kershaw, the legend, the Cooperstown curveball himself, arguably the greatest pitcher of his generation and a guy that's going to walk into the Hall of Fame the second he goes, I'm done playing baseball, has done everything. 3 Cy Youngs, over 3,000 strikeouts, finally got that elusive World Series in 2020. He's done everything. One thing he hasn't done, he's even thrown a no-hitter, Clarkie. But one thing he hasn't done that most pitchers never do
is 23.
Throw a perfect game. And through 7 innings today, he had a perfect game against a tough lineup. This is not the Arizona Diamondbacks we're talking about. This is the Twins with Byron Buxton and Correa and plenty of other weapons, okay? He had thrown 80 pitches.
Whoa.
80. And they pulled him from the game.
6 outs to go.
I'm not kidding. By the way, this wasn't like a bunch of ground balls and he had like 4 Ks. 13 strikeouts. The guy's slider was dancing.
It's sick. It's sick. It's all analytics and it's sickening.
I
and
actually
it's ruining
almost
the game.
threw up.
We've said it before. It's ruining the game.
Now,
can you tell me games are better now and teams have one more because they follow analytics?
Listen. Producer Adam, he has some graphics here. Let's put the Fox one up because Dave Roberts is the manager of the Dodgers, of course. And if you look here, since 1901, 2 pitchers have been pulled from games that are perfect through 7+ innings.
He's done them both.
Clayton Kershaw today and Rich Hill, a.k.a. Dick Mountain, in 2016, managed by Dave Roberts. What is happening? What is going on here? And do you know how many pitches Rich Hill had thrown, aka Dick Mountain? That's the best nickname in baseball.
No.
I think he had thrown 81 pitches in the game he got pulled from. Now, after the game, Clayton Kershaw, of course, everybody went right to his locker. The Dodgers won 7-1 or 7-2, whatever it was. Who cares what the score was?
Oh, they didn't get the shutout or anything. Okay.
He said it was time for me to come out. He was happy and looking completely fine with it when he left. He said, blame it on the lockout. Blame it on my not picking up a baseball until January. It was time. He said that he was fine with getting pulled. Now, I know he had a surgery in the offseason. There were some doubts that he was going to come back to the Dodgers, but they worked out a deal and he's back and he's a legend. He should never put another jersey on, to be frank with you. If that's true, far be it from me to tell an athlete what to do with their body, but we do watch this to be entertained. And I've seen Clayton Kershaw throw 110 plus pitches a couple times.
Yeah.
This is one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And it's not like it's August. This was his first start of the season. I almost threw up. It disgusted me. I don't know what your opinion is, but yeah.
It's analytics ruining baseball. I've said it before. It's analytics ruining baseball. Computers, why do they even have a manager? If all they're going to do is go, 80 pitches out. And there's no way he would have let him go, even if he had to pitch 3 pitches in the 8th inning, because now he's pressured to keep him in there for one more inning. And so that's why he pulls him out at 80 pitches after the 7th. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. Unbelievable. It's just ruining the game. It's like, what fan out there agrees with what they did today? Not one. Guaranteed.
I don't know. And Twitter exploded. I mean, sure. Buster Olney, Jeff Passan, June Lee, everybody, Rosenthal, you name it. The who's who of not just fans, but baseball. My favorite content creators out there, Fuzzy from YouTube, the John Boy guys, like everybody out there.
John Boy is great, by the way.
I love John Boy.
Follow John Boy. You got to follow John Boy. His videos are amazing.
John, are we talking about the same person? Are you saying John as in Jonathan?
No, John Boy, the guy who like mimics the he mouth lip reads all the time.
Yeah, John Boy. So John Boy Media, we're talking about the same people. So Jimmy and his crew, they have a great podcast, by the way, Talking Baseball. It's with Trevor Plouffe, former MLBer. It is my favorite show. Everybody out there was disgusted with this, and I was disgusted, and it just makes me sick. 23 perfect games. Off the top of my head, when was the last perfect game thrown? It was recent. Like I want to say 2017-ish. It's just infuriating to me. Last perfect game in Major League Baseball. When was it? 2012. Felix Hernandez blanked the Tampa Bay Rays in a 1-0 Mariners win. Hernandez threw 113 pitches with 12 strikeouts.
Ruined his career.
Will we ever see a starting pitcher top 100 pitches again? Like, what are we doing?
Yes.
Anymore? Like, Randy Johnson must be watching this thinking like,
all those guys, Steve, like all the Jays back in the day would pitch 8 innings.
And I'm not saying
7 to 8 innings.
And I'm not saying like
games all
go
the time.
out there and hurt yourself or whatever. And I understand that medically, you want to preserve guys' arms to a degree, but for God's sake, it's not like he was sitting on 98 pitches, 80 pitches. For the love of God, let him pitch. Yeah. And if he starts feeling a little sore, then take him out. But
give him the next 2 days off. Back up his next start a day. Whatever. He's
the
about
Dodgers
to make
have 400 pitchers, Clarky.
He's about to make history.
They got relievers that would start on teams. Come on, you're the most expensive team.
Get your analytics to tell him to give him an extra day off.
I hate it. I hate it. By the way, as we record this too, the Jays are playing the Yankees again, and Vlad hit a bomb, and then he got stomped on at first base by accident by Aaron Hicks's cleat. Cuts his finger. Oh, Vladdy might leave the game. Nope. Gets it taped up. Hits a monster moonshot the next at bat. Vladdy is a freak. I love it. All right. We'll take a quick break. Clarky, we appreciate you jumping on. Feel better, brother.
Say hi to Steve for me.
I absolutely will do. Coming up next, one of the executive directors with the Parleh Media Group, Steve McAllister, our buddy, he's going to jump on and have a chat with us here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarky and Drury, brought to you by CoolBet Canada, our friends at the Listowel Squash Courts, of course, over at Listowel Vision Care and See the Game as well. We appreciate our sponsors, and we appreciate our friend, the editor-in-chief at the Parleh Media Group, Steve McAllister, for jumping back on the show. Mr. McAllister, how are you, sir?
Ryan, how's it going? This will probably be the best segment yet because Clarky's not here to ruin it for us.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Clarky won't interrupt us with 18 Maple Leaf questions. Exactly. We have some freedom here. No, Clarky, obviously, I was surprised he was able to do the first segment. I mean, he's grinding through having COVID right now, but hopefully he's coming out the other side of it. So we're obviously thinking of our buddy Clarky. Really great to have you on the show, man. Obviously, things are moving and shaking like we've never really seen before in the betting world here in Ontario. After April 4th, of course, everything went live in terms of people having legal gambling and betting licenses for a number of companies that applied here in Ontario. And just take us through what it's been like. I'm sure the busiest time you've seen yet over at the Parleh, Steve.
Yeah, it's just crazy, Ryan. In fact, I just finished this week's newsletter a few minutes ago, and you know, you got 21 legal gaming sites in the province now. We just heard today that North Star Bets, the company that's tied in with the Toronto Star, that they just got registered with the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario today. And I'm sure you've seen just the flurry of partnership deals this week. I mean, FanDuel and PointsBet signing on with Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. The Score Bet latching on with the Blue Jays. We saw your partners at CoolBet do a really neat deal with Andre DeGrasse last week as a brand ambassador. So it's not unexpected, but it's still a bit crazy. It's funny, Ryan. I've had a couple of people tell me this week this is a marathon, not a sprint. But when you see what's happened in the first 10 days of the market, it sure feels like a sprint.
It sure feels like that. I mean, it's been unbelievable. I mean, even leading up to this, we saw a lot more gambling centric, things being even worked into broadcasts. Now it's like full blown, like throughout broadcasts, whether it's Major League Baseball, hockey. I mean, the NFL has always been like this. You're seeing like live updates on odds on a guy getting a home run late or a reliever K'ing out the side. Like they are blasting this out there. It's really, really incredible the amount of content that's been put on display.
Yeah, and I think that the networks and the sports books, Ryan, it's going to take some time to find that happy medium. And I know both parties are really sensitive that they don't want to overwhelm sports fans with betting information because it will be a turnoff. And we've seen the U.S. what's happened with the plethora of advertising by sports books, and there's already some fatigue in the U.S. in those states where betting's legal with all the advertising that people get bombarded with from the sports books. I will say I kind of like what I've seen so far. FanDuel and Bet365 came out with commercials last week that really focus on responsible gambling, so I think that was a real smart way to do it. We've seen BetMGM, they're kind of hitching their horse right now to that, or hitching their wagon, to the endorsement deal with Wayne Gretzky. I like what the Score did with their creative with Jerry D and Susie Essman in that commercial. I like PointsBet Canada and what they've done with the Trailer Park Boys. So there's some really creative stuff being done out there. And I think if you continue to have that kind of fun, it's not going to be a turn off to sports fans who may not be into betting like you and I.
Yeah, and you're right. Like it is a bit of a delicate balance because, of course, like anything when it's involved with the Alcohol and Gaming Commission, of course, I remember, hearing stories back when, the beer commercials and even way back the cigarette companies. I mean, think back to the 80s here. And I mean, I know when I talked to Mario Andretti on our old show, and producer Adam will remember, like his F1 car was littered with cigarette advertising, and then they obviously got rid of that. But anytime it's something like that, and gambling especially, and you want to be sensitive to that, gambling problems are a real big issue. You definitely have to walk a line a little bit. But I agree with you. Like so far, I've not really watched a game yet where I've thought, and I mean this is coming from somebody who really enjoys sports gambling, I haven't watched a game yet. I don't know if you maybe have, Steve, where I thought, boy, this is a little over the top.
No, I'm with you, Ryan. And I think the sports betting side of the broadcast can actually enhance the broadcast. And for example, I'm a big fan of Mike Johnson and those Mystic Mike segments on TSN. I think it's very obvious that Mike likes to bet a few dollars every night. And I think the information he provides is really credible. And when I talked to Dale Hooper at FanDuel Canada about that new partnership with TSN last week, that one of the things we talked about is there's an opportunity here where FanDuel can feed Mike Johnson some information that's going to make those Mystic Mike segments even better. And Dale talked a lot with me about just the way the FanDuel and TSN are going to work back and forth in identifying storylines, where the data that FanDuel gets from the sports book can be passed along to TSN for their hockey broadcast, and at the same time, the information that the hockey insiders are providing on the broadcast, that's going to help FanDuel with setting their odds and maybe setting some of those bets for hockey fans.
I wonder as well, Steve, obviously April 4th was the day everything went live in terms of the licensed sites that are able to operate in Ontario. I do wonder, it obviously some planning went into this where it couldn't have opened at a better time, because the second it went live, I logged on to the CoolBet account that I have, and obviously great odds on there. You can still get in on a lot of MLB futures. I did well on MLB futures last year. I nailed a lot of nice picks there, including Shohei Ohtani and the World Series champions. So I logged on there, threw some cash at some futures. We'll maybe talk about a couple of mine, and I'll get your opinion on them, because we do want to talk sports as well. But what a time for it to hit, right? Because Major League Baseball started 3 days later, and then the Masters is right there.
Yeah, and for all the moaning about, missing the Super Bowl, Ryan, because that's what happened in January, that people in Ontario were quite ticked off, and the industry was ticked off that they weren't going to be ready to roll by the Super Bowl. And you're right, last week was as close to a perfect storm as you can get. I mean, Tiger Woods coming back to the Masters was a huge story. A lot of money bet on Tiger, stupidly, I would suggest. Obviously the March Madness final last Monday night, the start of the Major League Baseball season, the Blue Jays home opener Friday night, and playoff races in both the NHL and the NBA. So the one thing I am pushing right now, and I talked to a lot of people, like there was a lot of excitement in New York in January when their legal sports betting business opened up, because we were seeing numbers right away. And all indications I'm getting right now is that we're not going to have the access to that kind of information. And I think that's that's a PR miss for the province and for anybody involved in the industry, because I think those numbers from last week are going to be really, really bullish.
I agree. And I mean, overall, I think it's been a great rollout so far. I think people are enjoying it to a large degree. I know certainly as a gambling fan that likes to sprinkle some loose change on stuff here and there, I've been very excited about all the stuff on there. By the way, CoolBet's Bet Builder tool, we talked about this last week with our friend Sam Cosentino, the Sportsnet hockey analyst who loves his CoolBet. The Bet Builder tool, I have been laying some cheddar down on that and doing quite well. The Bet Builder's a lot of fun. And that's the nice thing, I guess, about the industry is there's a lot of flexibility in different ways to play the games. I mean, this is not just, your standard over-unders and money line stuff, Steve. There's a lot of great ways, and different sites offer different things. Like, there's a lot of variety for even people who are casual watchers of sports to get involved and throw some money at.
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. I think the in-play betting options that are there now with all the sports books really has a chance just to have some fun with your home team. If you're a Leafs fan and you're watching the Caps Leafs game tonight, you can bet a couple of dollars on how many shots. Mitch Marner is going to go over 2.5 shots on goal in the game, and I think to me it's just an added to the fan experience. As long as you're betting responsibly, you don't have to spend a lot of dollars. And really, it's not a whole lot different than the days where you and I might sit in the living room and watch a game and bet on who's going to score the winning goal in the game that night. That's been happening forever and ever. So, I think it can be something that's fun. I do think with sports teams now, they're looking for different ways to make sure that they continue to sell tickets and give fans great experiences in the arena. I think sports betting can play a really valuable role there. But I agree with you. I think it's a fun. Like I bet Scotty Scheffler last Monday to win the Masters, and it's one of those things where I watched 5 hours of golf on Sunday, praying like hell that Scheffler was going to cash in for me. And again, I think it was a $6 bet, so I made $60 or whatever. But I think there's just a lot of fun to being able to bet on sports.
There certainly is. All right. I want to throw, because I know you're an avid sports fan and there's lots to talk about. I definitely want to dig into your opinion on something Clarky and I were discussing that occurred in Major League Baseball today that made my blood boil. But first, I want to throw some MLB futures your way. These are some of the ones that I have laid money down on this year. Now, I made 7 futures bets last year and I hit on 4 of them. Now, of course, you bet on different guys across the same category, right? So you're not going to be perfect, but I've got 5 that I've got queued up here, and I'd love your opinion on it. Let's start with my AL MVP picks. I took Vlad Guerrero Jr., and he was paying plus 625, and then I also tossed in at plus 1,500 Luis Robert of the Chicago White Sox. And you know what? At plus 3,400, I took Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins, a guy who, if he's healthy, and Steve, I don't know if you saw him turn on a 101 mile an hour gasoline fastball the other day and pump it 472 feet. I like Byron Buxton a lot if he's healthy. What do you think of my MVP picks on the AL side?
I love the Buxton one, Brian, because those are, if you cash in on that one, that's a big payday for you. And you put a few dollars down on a guy like Buxton at those odds. That's the fun part of betting. It doesn't have to be, you don't want to look at the guy who's at minus 250 or whatever. You want to look for that long shot, and you may cash in with them. And Buxton's a great pick. I see Guerrero's hit two home runs tonight in the game against the Yankees already. And he's a guy that just seems to get better and better every year. The thing I like about Guerrero is I think he's finally realized in the offseason that he's got to get in better shape. And I've found it really mind-boggling that the Blue Jays haven't been tougher on him about getting himself into better shape, because you don't want to see this guy be a guy that plays 5 or 6 years and starts to get banged up because he's too heavy and can't have a long career in the majors. And he looks really good right now, Ryan. And I think this is a guy that I wouldn't be surprised one iota if he's your MVP at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I believe he weighed in at camp at 238, just shy of 240. So that looks to be an optimal weight for him. And I mean, sprinkling some cheddar as well on Luis Robert, who I just love that White Sox lineup, and he's right in the center of it. NL MVP, I only laid one bet down, and it's mostly twofold. I'm supremely confident this guy can be the MVP, and also I wasn't just a huge fan of some of the odds and the guys that were available, but I really, really like Francisco Lindor at plus 2,000. I love Lindor. He had a disappointing, although the second half was better, disappointing first year as a Met, and I think that he is hypercharged to be better in the Big Apple.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one, Ryan. And I would say Lindor is, again, one of those guys that is more than a one-tool player these days. And I think it does, going to New York, no matter how people slice and dice it, that, it's not, they look at it being another market. It's not another market. New York's a really difficult place to play. And I think you are going to see Lindor settle in comfortably this year. And again, at plus 2,000, that's a great pick.
It's nice value for sure. I did lay some money as well on the NL Cy Young, a guy that many felt should have won it last year, Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's paying plus 1,500. I really like Zach Wheeler. Good velocity, good command. He pitched his first game the other day, looked really, really solid. I like what he's all about. The question will be, can the Phillies defend behind him, because they certainly didn't address their defensive woes. They just got as many big hitters as they could to go with Bryce Harper. But I like Zach Wheeler a lot. What do you think of that pick?
Yeah, and I think you hit it down the head, Ryan. I mean, the Phillies couldn't catch a cold last year, and you need, if you're going to have a shot at pitching deep into games. That's the thing that people forget about, is bad defense costs pitchers innings, and you throw more pitches, you end up getting out of a game early. If Wheeler can get any kind of defense behind him, again, I think he's got as much of a chance as anybody in the league. And we're seeing some of those guys now. You look at the Dodgers rotation; some of those are getting a little bit longer in the tooth. Kershaw, for example, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like Wheeler step in.
My final futures bet that I'd like your opinion on: most home runs across Major League Baseball, and at plus 1,300. I love the Jays, but you know that I also am an Oakland A's guy. I love those gritty underdogs at that toilet of a Coliseum. And here's a guy they got rid of, and it broke my heart in the offseason. Matt Lanta himself, Matt Olson, going home to Georgia. And I feel like he is going to smoke 45, maybe 50, and lead Major League Baseball in home runs. And at plus 1,300, I just could not say no to my guy, Oli Baum.
Yeah, good value there. And obviously, it's going to a more hitter-friendly park, Ryan. So that stadium in Oakland, not only is it a dump, but it's a tough place for a home run hitter. So I think that, again, that's great value. And Olson in a land in that stadium, yeah, I could easily see 50 home runs from this guy.
left-handed hitter too. He's a freak when it comes to power. Don't worry, Atlanta fans. I know Freddie Freeman was your guy, but you might not be saying you miss him quite as much by about July. Just give my guy some time here. I want to ask you, you brought him up already. You mentioned him there when we were talking about Zach Wheeler, and this is something that Clarky and I were discussing in the previous segment. I'm sure you're aware of this, where, again, it's Wednesday the 13th when we're recording this. I'm sure you saw that Clayton Kershaw had a perfect game going today through 7 innings, and they pulled him at 80 pitches. Steve, what is your opinion of this? Because I hated it. And like I said to Clarky before we brought you on, I almost threw up. I was sick to my stomach. I love Kersh, the Cooperstown curveball. He's a legend. This made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, you know what, Ryan, it's become harder and harder for me to watch Major League Baseball these days, and I'm sure there'll be people out there who'll say I'm a dinosaur, but I've got a lot of issues with the game right now, and I think that's one of them. I think starting pitchers, this whole theory about twice through the order and then you get a guy out, being on pitch counts. I don't think it's not doing the game any favors. And there are certain guys. I mean, there are certain guys that can play 162 games and do it at a high level as a regular, as a first baseman, a third baseman, an outfielder. There are some pitches where you probably your fifth guy. Those are the guys you probably do want on a pitch count. But when you got a horse like Clayton Kershaw, you got to ride that horse. And I think these guys have a lot of pride too. And Kershaw, I'm sure, pitching a perfect game, would love to have that on his resume as part of his legacy when he retires. And I think it doesn't help the game. You're trying to build superstars in a game that had a labor stoppage, had an owner lockout this winter. You're trying to get people interested in the game again. And when you hear a guy got lifted pitching a perfect game after 80 pitches, to borrow your term, Ryan, yeah, you feel like throwing up.
I was so bummed out. I was pissed off. I hated it. I love Kersh. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. He's a legend. And like we said, Clarky and I earlier, he's literally done everything. He's even thrown a no-hitter. And you're on the precipice of history. And again, he was contrite about it after the game and said, I agreed with it. It was time. I had a long off season, the surgery and all that. You're on 80 pitches, Kersh. And it's not like it was like a 6 strikeout, mostly ground balls affair here. This guy's sitting on 13 Ks. He's dummying the lineup. Like it really, really bummed me out. And I just couldn't stand it. And you're right. I don't think that it's right to call people a dinosaur that have watched the game for a long time, that are used to seeing Randy Johnson, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, all these greats throw 100 pitches consistently. Could you imagine going out and telling Nolan Ryan after 80 pitches, throwing 100-mile-an-hour gasoline past guys? Nolan, we better sit you down. We're worried about your elbow in October. It's April.
Yeah. No, it's and it reminds me, Ryan, when I started writing baseball for the Canadian Press back in the late 1991, I guess, the first Jays game I ever covered, Nolan Ryan took a no-hitter in the 9th inning at Exhibition Stadium, and I was peeing my pants because first time writing for a national wire service, covering a no-hitter, and somewhat thankfully, although in hindsight it would have been great to write a no-hitter story, but Nelson Liriano tripled with 1 out in the 9th inning to break up the no-hitter, but. You're right. I mean, that was a badge of honor. And even those Blue Jay teams that won the World Series in 92 and 93, they would get 7 innings out of, Dave Stewart, David Cohen, Juan Guzman, Jimmy Key. I'm forgetting some guys here before they turned it over in 92 to Dwayne Ward and Hankey, and then in 93 to Mike Tinlin and Dwayne Ward. So I just think, you don't see outfielders don't throw base runners out anymore. It's almost a given now. You see guys score from second base on a ground ball hit right as a left fielder because left fielders can't throw a baseball anymore. Not enough, nearly enough attention paid to good defense. And again, you're talking about Zach Wheeler. Like if you can't play good defense, that is going to lose ball games, and there's a reason why the Phillies are where they are. And I think there's not enough attention paid the fundamentals anymore. And I still love to go to baseball games and watch runners get moved over and catchers throwing out runners and outfielders, a right fielder throwing a guy out at third base. And I think the game's become too much like slow pitch, where you got a lot of big guys that either hit home runs or they strike out. And I think that's a tough product to sell. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm old, but for me, it's a tough product to sell.
No, it is it's the three outcome game now, the fly out, a strikeout, or a home run. And a lot of people are having a hard time reconciling. Hey, I'm having a lot of fun watching baseball right now, but I mean, there are things that could make it a lot more exciting. And when you take away the excitement that's right there on the plate in front of you and in front of the fans, like Clarky said earlier, no fan was happy about watching what occurred in Minnesota today. It was gross. Been almost 10 years since the last perfect game, only 23 of them. Felix Hernandez, a 1-0 win over Tampa for the Mariners, 113 pitches in that perfect outing for King Felix. I want to ask you as well, Steve, I know that this is something you're really passionate about, and I think everybody should be passionate about. And that's officiating, and especially officiating at the minor league level and grassroots sports. And we have seen this week some pretty heinous stuff going around on social media. I know, and I saw you tweet about it. I'm sure you saw my tweet about it. The umpire at the game, the Little League game in Texas, where the umpire was assaulted and knocked out on the field. A female umpire was punched in the face the other day. She posted about it on social media. That went viral. Throughout the hockey season here, hockey season nearing its end, we've seen, hundreds of just joke stories that are ridiculous. What is your opinion on some of the stuff that we saw, not only this week, but what it's going to do eventually, potentially, to minor league sports?
Yeah, it's an atrocity, Ryan. And again, we're having a really difficult time getting officials right now. You look at this winter. I mean, I coach a girls hockey team here in Kincardine.
Yep.
And I have a relative who's involved with the Mount Forest Minor Hockey Association. She was telling me they had 3 local referees this winter in Mount Forest. They were having to pay mileage for referees that come in from Guelph and Walkerton and other parts of the area to referee games. I'm talking, we just finished our season at provincials on the weekend, and I'm telling my girls after the game that I'd like to see them stay in the game, and be it as coaches or referees. But how do you encourage someone to go into officiating when you see the stuff that you and I've seen this week with not just an umpire, but a female umpire being punched in the eye? The one thing I will say is that I see a lot of hockey up here. I watch a lot of baseball in the summer, and I find the officials, they're treated with a lot of respect. That I haven't seen one of those incidents myself for a long, long time. But yeah, we got to get our crap together, Ryan, and it's up. These minor sports associations and governing bodies like the Ontario Hockey Association. You have to take a stance against this kind of behavior by coaches and parents, and you damn well got to make sure that you get the law involved, and that these people these are assaults. I mean, if you did this right outside a ball diamond or a hockey arena, you'd be charged with assault, and you'd be either fined or thrown into jail. And this shouldn't be any different just because somebody wears a referee's jersey or an umpire's mask. That doesn't make it any different. But I felt sick to my stomach when I saw that post of that woman with a shiner. And I think, as I tweeted, that anybody that does that just is a lousy human being.
It's embarrassing, Steven. I mean, listen, as coming from a guy that, I mean, if you look at my Twitter account, when I watch Capitals games, I take runs at referees. Now, professional referees, I'm not there, and I'm not going to lean over the boards at a game and yell at Wes McCauley.
Right.
Oh, and I'm certainly like, hey, it's part of the experience. Like, home fans, when their team takes a penalty, and maybe it's a bad penalty, you boo the ref. We get it. And they get it.
That's right.
What's not okay is doing really any of that at minor league sports. Minor sports, shut up. Like, We're not playing for the Stanley Cup. When it's professional hockey and there's 20,000 fans, sure, boo a call, fine. What's not okay ever is approaching an official at any level, whether it's Wes McCauley or these people that we saw on Twitter this week, and assaulting them or getting in their face about the result of a game after the game is over. Completely unacceptable. And I tend to be a guy that sees stuff, gets worked up over it, and maybe overreacts a little bit. But I feel like I'm in the right here, Steve. I really believe that people should just start receiving lifetime bans from sports facilities. I really feel that's the only way that you can start doing this, because the guy in Texas is going to press charges. He's suing the guy that punched him down in Texas. That was the coach of the other team. And by the way, if you watch the video a couple times, the call was right. The kid was safe. And it's embarrassing to me that guy is going to potentially, I don't know, I'm not on the minor league baseball beat in Texas, so I don't know what the repercussions are from the sporting organization. Got to be lifetime bans, like from here on out. It's embarrassing, and it's really going to affect, at the end of the day, this affects nobody but the kids, Steve, and that's sad.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say too, Ryan, is that we're 2 years into a pandemic here, and we should actually be grateful that that we're playing games, and secondly, that there are people out there who are willing to go out there and officiate. And the last 2 years, like, I haven't said boo to a referee in a minor hockey game, because I was actually just happy that we had 2 referees on the ice. And again, my philosophy has always been, if a referee's out there trying hard and giving his best effort, I'm not going to get upset with them. They're going to make bad calls. I certainly made bad calls when I was a hockey official. But if I see 2 people out there or 3 people out there that are giving an honest effort, they're skating hard and working hard, and they're calling a game fairly, they're not going to hear from me. And I just wish we would see more of that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, lifetime bans are one way to go. You absolutely have to take criminal action against these people, because, as I said earlier, it's out and out assault. It's black and white. There's no gray line with those 2 incidents that you and I saw this week.
I completely agree, my friend. Before we let you go here and wrap up the show, want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody what's going on over at the Parleh Media Group right now. It's obviously exciting times, like we talked about earlier. What can people expect when they log on to social media or your website and check out the Parleh? What are you guys up to?
Yeah, we've got Kevin Kennedy, Ryan, who put together our talent pool, has done such a great job finding these young, energetic, knowledgeable people, and we're having a lot of fun just doing betting videos. So we just found out today that North Star Bets has now been registered with the AGCO. As soon as they get approval by iGaming Ontario, we're going to start creating daily video content for North Star Bets to help drive their business, which we're really excited about. We're doing some social media work for one of the other big sports books out there right now, and having a lot of fun with that. So that's one of the things we're excited about with this industry, is that we know sports books need help with the storytelling piece of it, and we think that's where Parleh is going to come in. And we're also in the events business. We had a great launch party on April 4th last week, and then 2 nights later we did Danny Green, the former Raptor, does a podcast, and they called Inside the Green Room, and we hosted an event at the Rec Room in Toronto, and Danny did his podcast live. So that was a fun event. And now that we're kind of I think COVID's almost in the rearview mirror, you're going to see the Parleh do a lot more of those types of events.
I'm really excited about it, my friend. Check out the Parleh Media Group. They're all over social media. They got a great website as well. You can follow him at Stevie Mac Sports. Our friend Steve McAllister, editor-in-chief over at the Parleh. We appreciate this as always, my friend. It was great to chat with you, and I'm glad you're well.
Yeah, you too, Ryan. Ryan, can I get one message in, Ryan?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got one of our players this year on the U18 team in Kincardine, Georgia Scott. She was diagnosed with cancer in January, so she just started her 2nd round of chemotherapy at London Health Sciences Centre, the Children's Hospital, this week. So on behalf of the girls in our hockey team and the coaching staff and myself, we just want to wish Georgia well. We had some signs made up for provincials on the weekend. her mom Jennifer and Georgia, and Georgia has five brothers, and her dad. Obviously, the family's going through a rough time right now, so we just want to let Georgia know that we're thinking about her and we wish her all the best.
Well, vice versa over here. We're thinking about you, Georgia. We're cheering you on, as I'm sure everybody is. And thanks for sharing that, Steve. Obviously, it's important. We got to rally around Georgia right now, and hopefully she gets well. Thanks for sharing that, my friend.
Thanks, Ryan. Please tell Clarky I hope he's better soon.
I certainly will. You know, I'll share that with them. All right, everybody. That's it for the show this week. Remember, you can watch us Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6. If you're a Whiteman subscriber, we debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. You can follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. Find the podcast on all the best podcast apps. We are brought to you, as always, by Coolbet Canada, our friends at the Listowel Squash Courts, and See the Game and Listowel Vision Care. For Mr. Clark, obviously, our friend Stevie Mack here, and everybody here at the Instigating team will be back next week with more Instigating.